Well, hello and welcome to another advanced listening practice lesson. It's a pleasure to see you back here again, or hello if you're new. This is a series that I'll be speaking more quickly, and I know if you've been watching the program for a while, or this series specifically, you'll know that I speak a lot more quickly in this one and have this little intro at the beginning of all these videos, but so pardon me, bear with me. To bear with me just means, like, please understand me, please take a moment. Anyway, if you're new to this, then I highly recommend you go back and watch some of the previous videos I've made so you can get used to the sound of my voice, so you can understand the language I'm using and just enjoy, the content itself when you're watching this series. Anyway, since that's out of the way, let's move on to the actual content. Now, this is something I was thinking about, I don't know, I guess I've been kind of thinking about it. It's kind of a big thing in culture all the time. This is a subject of men and women, and more specifically about men and women. What is culturally created, or, what is, something that's basically taught to people, like how to behave, versus what is innate. So the nature versus nurture argument. And this is something that I always kind of assumed that, men are kind of thinking one way and women are thinking a different way because, well, we're kind of physically different. And again, it's not about one is better than the other or anything. It's just more that we kind of think differently. And then because of that, you get sort of general trends in things, like maybe you get more, I don't know, like men doing one kind of job or women doing another kind of job. And it doesn't, again, mean that they couldn't do one or the other kind of thing, but you just tend to see trends, or you see just examples of averages of things like that. And so I was actually talking with a couple of people. I went to a birthday party a few nights ago, and there were a whole bunch of people there, and I was sitting across from two younger women. So I am 35 years old, and they were about 24, 20, about like mid-20s, something like that. So basically a different generation of people. They've already been through school, they just finished college, but they're getting a slightly different education than I did, or a slightly different education than maybe somebody that's 50 years old, that kind of thing. So with each generation, there's a new set of ideas and things that people learn. And so I was talking to them, I made some kind of comment where I said, I think, isn't it interesting that you don't usually see, or I guess you're more likely to see a not so good looking guy with an attractive woman than you are to see a not so good looking woman with an attractive guy. Now, again, like, you could see that, but maybe you don't see it so often. And maybe I'm mistaken. Maybe I just like happen to see this in my daily life, and I'm like an alien. I'm a weird person because only I see this. And I was saying, well, I said that, and then they immediately disagreed with me. They were like, well, that doesn't really happen. You see, like, examples. So they were saying, well, we've seen this and we've seen that. And I said, well, I'm just talking about examples here. And then we started talking about evolutionary biology and started talking about how men do this and women do that. And I was just saying, I don't know, it just seems like because men and women are kind of physically different, like a man could make babies with 1 million women. So like I am designed as a man to, be a bit more, or I guess less selective about who I make a baby with, because it doesn't really matter. I mean, biologically speaking, it matters to me personally, but, in the biological sense, a man is designed to go out and, sleep with a whole bunch of women, and, he could make babies with all those women. Now, whether he could actually take care of all those women is another story, but to actually produce the baby, a woman can only, sleep with one man at a time, and you've got a baby or twins or whatever, but you've got a limited number that you can actually create as a woman. So a woman would have to be more selective about who she's making a baby with, because she can only make so many of them. Now maybe if women could just like pop 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 pop, like make babies like whatever like men do, then maybe the situation would be different. But that's basically how we are as people. So because of that, most people assume, well, a man has to be kind of more selective about what he's looking for in terms of the physical beauty or the physical attractiveness of the woman herself. And a woman is usually more concerned with the ability of a man to be able to provide for the children. So she has to be more selective, not just to find a good-looking person, but also someone that will actually stay with her and help her raise the kids and that kind of thing. So the interesting thing was that because they're coming from this previous generation, or I'm coming from a previous generation in this situation, they're coming from the next generation. And in a lot of schools now, people are being taught almost that, like, it's kind of like maybe in society generally, and I'm kind of speaking about like Western society, like America specifically, that maybe in general like women or women were like not as good as men at whatever, something like that. And again, this is just kind of general like societal ideas, ways people are thinking about it culturally, and then they became equal, and like now they're seeing themselves as better than men. And again, this isn't me personally. I have to say this again and again. This isn't me personally thinking about that. I'm more just trying to figure out exactly what's happening, because it's an interesting discussion to figure out whether the way we behave is a result of how we're conditioned culturally, so cultural conditioning, or if it's because there's a biological reason why we do it, like I was explaining before about how men can make babies with a lot of women and women can only really make a baby with one man at a time. And so because of that, we behave in a certain way. Now, I guess I'm still, I don't know, it sounds old-fashioned actually. I'm only 35 years old, and maybe that sounds old to some people who are younger than me watching this, but to talk with them, and these women were saying, I've never, ever heard of a situation where a woman decided to be with a man for like money or power or whatever. He was, like successful or something like that. And I was astonished. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe they'd never heard of a situation where a woman was more likely to pursue a man or to think about like being with a man because he was like, sexually fit, or, I guess fit for being able to produce a baby because he was, successful at whatever. So basically we're looking at reproductive fitness, a man being a person that can gather resources either by, physically being stronger or being smarter or whatever, and that you're able to produce for, I guess able to get resources such that you can have a more productive family life and you can do more for your kids. And a woman is kind of like the package that a man is looking for. Because in my personal experience, I don't think I've ever been in a situation where I've met a man that like really cared so much about what his like girlfriend did. And that just means he wasn't like, I really want to date a doctor or something like that. Now these men are out there. Some men actually like want to date a doctor or want to date like a successful businesswoman or something like that. But again, on average, you just don't really see that very much. And so I was just thinking, why don't I put this video out there? And because I have such a wide mix of people that enjoy what I do, not only younger people and older people, but also people all over the world. So whether you're in Brazil or Argentina or China or Mexico or, wherever you happen to be, this is a really great opportunity for people to discuss down in the comments, what do you think about this? Do you think I'm right? Do you think I'm wrong? Or again, it's not really about right and wrong. It's more about, figuring out how we do this, how we discuss things and how we talk like men and women. And are things changing? Do you notice anything happening in a similar way in your own country? Do you notice like more like women taking powerful positions, or do you not notice that? I mean, look, maybe Hillary Clinton could become the next president of the United States. You never know. But anyway, I don't have any like personal feelings one way or the other. I'm just noticing, it's interesting that most of the time you see men more interested in the physical beauty of a woman than you do see a woman interested in the physical beauty of a man. And you also see more often than not, again, this is me, and maybe this is you too, but you see, or you're more likely to see a woman that's interested in thinking more about, what is like the man like able to provide. So less thinking about the way he looks and much more thinking about the way he can provide for the family. Now, what was interesting about this conversation, the two women I was sitting across from, they were both from Britain. Actually, one was from Wales, one was from Britain, both lovely ladies, and I had a great time talking with them, even though they got a little bit angry at me. And they even called me sexist at one point. I was like, wow, this is incredible. I don't have an opinion about it one way or the other. I was just saying, it just kind of seems like that. And whether it's because cultural was, the cultural reason for that, or whether it's biological, that's kind of another thing. I'm not an expert in either of those fields, so I don't really know. But, I can kind of look around and see in just everyday life that, yeah, it seems in quite a few places this is happening. Now, what was interesting, again, to come back to this, I was sitting across from these two women, but sitting next to me, or right, next to me was another guy from Australia, and his wife, who was Japanese. And now she was giving kind of a different perspective on this and was agreeing with me. She was like, well, yeah, women are like much more likely to be interested in the status of a man and looking for more of that kind of thing. And that's why we create, the things that we have now. I mean, if you look at men around the world, if there were no women on the planet, I mean, men would basically do nothing. We would sit around, maybe play video games, or, we would talk or do whatever. But the whole reason that we create things that we do, for the most part, on average, is because we're looking to impress women. We're looking to create dominance, or we're looking to, do something that's impressive, that shows that we have superior status, and that's what is hopefully going to attract more women, something like that, to us. But are we thinking like, cave people? Are we thinking like animals? Or are we beyond that now? Have we evolved in such a way that, it's not the biology at all, it's the conditioning that we have culturally, and, men and women should be equal about everything? Is that really the case? I don't know. Well, what do you think? Let me know in the comments. I'm just interested to hear a lot of opinions and a lot of different things, not only from different ages, but also from different countries around the world. So do let me think. What trends have you noticed in your own country? And I look forward to seeing you in the next episode as soon as this gets over 10,000 views. And I'll see you then. Bye-bye. To continue learning, click on the link in this video to download Speak English Naturally, our free guide to speaking and sounding like a native English speaker. The guide reveals the 3 most important kinds of conversational English you must learn if you want to sound native, and will help you experience instant improvement in your fluency and speaking confidence. To download your free guide on a mobile device, click on the link in the upper right of this video. To download your free guide from a computer, click on the link in the lower right of this video. I look forward to seeing you in the guide.